Historic events that changed or never even happened. Certain people being different than they are now. What about human body parts? Maybe objects you've remembered have changed. Well, let's see if we can find out as we revisit the Mandela Effect.
We're your hosts. I'm Ben.
And I'm Rob. Before starting, make sure you hit like and subscribe because these new Mandela Effects is gonna blow your mind.
So after getting a ton of feedback and seeing how popular our first Mandela Effect video is doing, we decided to make another one for you guys.
In our first video, we covered more things related to like pop culture, and this one we're gonna cover more worldly examples that are guaranteed to make you question our reality.
And if it doesn't, well then you might as well get your news straight from Wikipedia.
They won't tell you how many thousands and millions of people are confused and have personal stories. They will just tell you that all of this is a sham without going into details or data.
Sham? You mean like Shazaam? You know, Sinbad?
Yes, Ben, that was a Mandela effect in our first video. Well done. By the way, that video going around where it shows Sinbad as a genie is a wicked fake. It was created by College Humor to confuse us even more. You can tell because he's way older in that video.
Yeah. But all right, let's go right into our number one on the list, which is moon landings. So I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I only remember one moon landing and got really confused to hear about how many times he went to the moon. We also have been getting a lot of comments about this as well from you guys. So there has been a total of 6 moon landings, not even accounting Apollo 13, with 24 people who had visited the moon. One of our followers, Arabesque911, sent this video with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Check this out.
Yeah, in the video, Tyson is talking about only one moon landing and how he never went back.
And had I known that our first steps on the moon would essentially be our last steps on the moon, I would have done somersaults. I would have said, oh my gosh, this is a unique moment in the history of our species. Never to happen again. Let me revel and celebrate and pop champagne corks.
I would love to get him on the show and ask him his opinion about this as well.
Yeah, the day Tyson agrees to come on our show is the day that the Earth really does become a flat pancake.
So you know, I was taught in school that we've never been back, so I was very confused by this one. But really, what does this all mean? Does this mean it could discredit everything Tyson says if he's saying he's only remembering one moon landing?
I mean, he would for sure discredit the Mandela Effect.
Right.
I mean, him and Bill Nye would like tag team that junk, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so do you guys remember 1 or 6 moon landings? Comment below. We know you just can't resist. Just do it. This is the weirdest one for me, for sure. Maybe of the entire Mandela Effect examples we've had.
This is pretty big.
Okay, so the big question is, did Publishers Clearinghouse have a spokesperson? And if they did, who was it?
Now, you guys born in the 90s or later, you guys wouldn't know this, but
they probably don't even know who Publishers Clearinghouse is.
Probably not. So to ask your parents. Okay, so I called my mom and I said, Mom, who was the spokesperson for Publishing Clearinghouse? And without even missing a beat, she just said, oh yeah, Ed McMahon.
Right, so most of us remember Ed McMahon walking up to the front doors with people, getting all excited as they see him because they know what it means. He's gonna have a big check with Publisher Clearinghouse written all over it. But according to Publishers Clearinghouse, they never hired McMahon, ever.
This is where it gets super weird. I mean, everyone knows him having the humongous checks, and it's like, it's just crazy.
So yeah, you called your mom. I asked my sister-in-law, Jillian, shout out to you, what she thought, and she was like, oh yeah, Ed McMahon, Publishers Clearinghouse. Same thing, right? Just like that. So the really crazy thing is that according to a book, The New Deal, the former Obama chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, even referenced McMahon in a speech he gave, which he said that a stimulus bill is denying ourselves an Ed McMahon moment, the grateful squeal of Publishers Clearinghouse pleasure that would greet an envelope arriving from Obama. Boom.
To make things even more crazy, in the 90s, David Letterman had host Carson on his show. Carson references Ed while holding a large check.
Play it.
I'll tell you why I'm here. I happen to be in town over doing some stuff for the NBC affiliate.
That's right.
And, you know, Ed McMahon, our good friend, could not be here.
Yeah.
But it seems, David, that you are the $1 million winner.
Oh, my God! I've won $1 million!
Try to disprove this one, Snopes. Ben, dude, I remember this so clearly because aside from, you know, Johnny Carson joking about this, I used to remember my parents getting like weekly mailers to the house, and I used to always stare at the illustration of Ed McMahon on the mailer in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah. So according to Publishers Clearinghouse, they have never ever hired any person as a spokesperson. Ever.
I'm not getting over this one. This is
Like,
weird.
Feeling
This is right up there with Moonraker for me.
It's super weird.
Okay, so out of all of the Mandela effects on our list, I would say for sure this one is the strangest because there are already so many conspiracies revolving around this, the JFK assassination.
So the big question is, for you guys who already don't know about this one, do you guys remember 4 people in the car or 6 people in the car?
So there are also discrepancies on where he was shot. Some reports and diagrams say it was in the back, some say it was in the head. According to whistleblower William Cooper, who wrote Behold a Pale Horse, he said he decided to come out publicly after learning about what happened to JFK and was then consequently killed in 2001 right after 9/11 happened.
In the Zapruder film of the shooting, Cooper says that you can see the driver leaning over with the silver gun, shooting Kennedy, and then that Lee Harvey Oswald was just kind of like a patsy or a victim of mind control.
So, but in this video, we don't dive into this conspiracy because it's a huge, massive, like 6-part episode. We will, however, go into this when we start talking about Majestic 12, so make sure you keep an eye out for that video because that's pretty cool.
Okay, but let's get back. Was there 4 or 6 people in the car?
The video shows 6. However, there is some evidence to support that this could be a Mandela effect. For one, there are 2 cars in museums of the JFK Presidential Library and the museum in Boston and the Dahl Auto Museum in La Crosse, Wisconsin that both have 4 seats. But why would the museum only have 4 seats?
Another interesting fact is that there is a photo taken by Dwayne Robertson which shows a 4-seater car with only JFK and Jackie in the car and 2 people in the front seats. However, it seems somehow in other photos in the same sequence all of a sudden you see 6. So is this some kind of residual effect or something?
One really weird one that many people are pointing out is that the inside spread of Life magazine at the time has a 4-seater car with flowers right after the shooting happened.
Now, this is where it gets a little weird because on Getty Images, they have this photo and it states that it's the Vice President Johnson's car.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Yeah, Lyndon Baines Johnson. So why would Life magazine publish this car if it's not Kennedy's car and instead the Vice President? It's just really weird.
I mean, yeah, it could be fake news. I mean, look at CNN. Not a real thing comes off of CNN these days, but I digress. Finally, the other weird thing is the Secret Service did a reenactment of the assassination and made a video of this, which only shows 4 seats. Here are some images from that reenactment. So Ben, what do you think?
You know, honestly, I'm not really sure on this one because I don't know this.
It's too loaded, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of like happened before my time, and I remember seeing the videos, but if someone were to ask me, I probably, off the top of my head, I would have said 4.
What do you guys think? Is this a Mandela effect or not? Do you have more knowledge on the subject? Because we can't figure any of this out, and probably there's been a whole lot to this cover-up.
Right, that is very sure. Okay, let's go to the big one.
The edge of wonder.
All right, so some people say that even our bodies have changed along with this Mandela effect, such as our heart is more in the center than it was before, our eye sockets have gotten a little deeper, and some say they don't remember the bone behind them. Okay.
Oh, like the eye socket
Yeah,
bones,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, like it was just a hole in there. There were no bones back there. Okay, right. That is a little weird to me, actually, that one. Okay, also, some believe our liver has gotten bigger and higher up in the body, along with our kidneys. But this one is hard to prove because it isn't like you just open up your body and look, people.
But anyway, to me, these eye sockets ones are a little weird because a few months ago, I woke up one time and I was looking in the mirror and I felt like my eyes were deeper. Like they were coming over, like the bones here were protruding over more than usual. And I just thought, oh, I'm just getting old.
Ben, we're just getting old, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing weird there.
However, soon I started noticing this with everybody else I was looking at. So the heart one is a little weird because, I mean, I've always known it to be a little bit to the left, like slightly to the left. I mean, you know, we put our hands over our hearts when we, you know, pledge allegiance. But what people are saying now, it's more over the center.
Unless you're a doctor who sees this stuff all the time, my perspective is, as someone who kind of studied this a lot in art school, is that, you know, basically this is just people remembering stuff wrong and having this impression. Like, I mean, we all grew up putting our right hands over our heart, and it's not because it's on the left side of your body, it's because in the past, religions all decided that if you wrote with your left hand, they'd whack you. Like my parents would get whacked if they wrote with their left hand. You'd have to write with your right.
Yeah, everything was
you
right.
used your right hand for everything. You put your right hand over your heart, and then you think your heart's on the left side.
However, an operation, the game operation,
Operation.
it's like way over. I mean, it's like
Yeah, but it's a operation, man. I mean, like you can't use operation to explain a Mandela effect. Get out of here. Okay. So, okay, look. Personally, just between you guys and me, this heart one and the thing, this is just nonsense to me. Like, I really do think some of these Mandela effects are real, like freaking Ed McMahon or whatever, but the heart and this stuff is just give me a break. Actually, if you're a doctor, please comment below and let us know what you think.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You've been looking at anatomy your whole life, and you probably know if these diagrams have changed. I mean, this is a tough one, but let us know what you think.
Yep, definitely. Okay, and now this is a newer Mandela effect and probably one that shocked me almost as much as Ed McMahon, if not more.
Yeah, so you actually did get extremely excited on a live video once, right? Was it the Denver airport one?
Yeah, we did the Denver airport one. Okay, so when I fly, I always have to get the cheap seats, right? So I'm always in the back of the plane, right? In the back of the plane, you sit there, you look out the window, you can't see anything because there should be an engine right there, right? You can only get like a partial view.
Well, if you're in the middle to the back, right?
Middle to
where
the
the
back.
wing is,
Yeah,
right?
almost every single time I did.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
you know, and I've never really sit in the beginning of the plane. When we were going to contact in the desert, this is the first time it hit me, and it just blew me away that all of the engines I was seeing was in the front of the wing.
I remember that plane trip. Ben just kept looking over going, dude, the engine's in a different place. And I was like, all right, man, it's a freaking 5-hour flight here.
But it was just like so shocking to me. I look out the window and I'm like, what the heck?
Then we're getting off of the plane and Ben's like, where's the pilot? He walks up to the pilot, he's like, have the engines always been like that?
And the pilot's like, yeah.
Yeah, right, I think so.
Yeah, it's just, and so I even talked to my dad and he's like, oh yeah, well maybe they updated it recently, you know, or whatever.
And in all fairness, we're joking around about this, but personally, I do remember those engines being flush with the wing.
Yes.
Not in front of it, but like, or if it was just a little.
Yeah.
But now they're like way in
Crazy.
front,
Yeah.
right?
So, I mean, I'm a professional photographer and I worked as a photo editor. I have tons of photos that I took of planes. I'll show some, but these are not that great. They were just for like small news pieces or whatever. But seriously, like these photos that I have, these engines were not there when I was taking the photos. Like I know for sure.
Yeah, because
like,
you were composing the shot based on that, right?
Yeah, so I'm like looking at it and like I went back to my photos and I was like, oh my gosh, like they've changed. Like seriously, like this is not what I photographed when I was looking at these. So one of our followers, his name is Day in the Life of Mike. He sent this to us after we did this. He said, OMG, here's one, Ben. You were talking about the airplane Mandela effect with the engines. I had a toy airplane that had the engines further back. Now they're forward.
Man, weird.
So, thanks again, Mike.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. So speaking of statues, nothing is more weird for me than Rodin's The Thinker. So before we go into this one, think about how you remember that statue to be. This is a very famous statue.
Right. I mean, right. Did he have his fist open or close? And was it on his head or was it under his chin?
And what makes this so strange is that people are posing right now in front with the wrong pose, right?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. So he has his like hand open.
He's like this now.
Yeah.
It's a very Rodin, funky, weird thing like this, right? I can't do it. He's like this.
But we all remember it.
But
going
everyone
like this.
always remembers this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I have my glasses on. I can't
This
do
or
that.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was more like this, but
But his fist, he had a closed fist though.
Did he?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely had a closed fist.
personally, I don't remember this one, so I can't say for sure. It's not as sure for me as Ed McMahon was.
You know, to me, it's like I remember looking at this thing and thinking he's really in a deep thought. Now it looks like he's just like watching ants crawl on the floor. All right, but speaking of statues, let's go into the next crazy one. So I came to New York in 2008 and was really shocked to hear, for one, that the statue was on Liberty Island and not Ellis Island, which is what I learned in school.
Yeah, my knee-jerk reaction when you asked me what island it was on, I was like, Ellis.
You interested?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, I came here with my parents, and we were all shocked to see it. For one, it was like further away than what we remembered, like what I remember seeing the photos, and it was like, man, it's really far out there. And then two, you have to have like a passport to go out there now, and it seems like it's more
like another country.
It's so weird. I mean, you have to like go through this whole process to get there, and I'm like, why? It's just an island. But anyway, yeah. And the other crazy thing is we were wanting to go in the Torch, and that day that we were there, I guess the whole Statue of Liberty was down, and then he was like, oh yeah, it's all repairs. Like you can't go to the Torch. But what I didn't know is that the Torch has been closed off for 100 years.
What?
But however, there's even people saying that they went up in the 80s and 90s in the Torch section. But that would be impossible, right?
Actually, even The Simpsons had an episode where people were in the Torch section, and there's evidence to show that it was closer to the harbor. And I remember seeing photos of people in that Torch, man.
Dude, I remember it so clearly.
Also, like, I mean, we've looked at and saw comments from so many people being like, I was in the Torch. I mean, the Torch is much different than the Crown.
And the other thing too, so in Crocodile Dundee, during the scene where he's on a boat, it shows the Statue of Liberty. It's very, very close to Manhattan. I mean, of course, the Twin Towers are there and whatnot. But they were saying if you do that same scene now, there's no way you can get, no matter what kind of lens you're using, you cannot get the Statue of Liberty that close. So guys, what do you think of these Mandela effects? Let us know definitely if you remember the Statue of Liberty being on Ellis Island or Liberty Island.
Or the Torch.
Yeah.
If you visited the Torch, we want to hear from you.
Definitely
That's crazy.
visited the Torch, for sure. Let us know. Okay.
But we kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about this and tell you what our perspective is after researching all of this stuff, what we think the Mandela Effect is, and also why people don't understand it. And I'll tell you what, the comment I am most tired about looking at, and it happens once every 5 minutes, someone coming on there and be like, this is so dumb. This is just people not remembering, right? But like, it's not like that. You can't just say that. You can't just, like, yeah, if you're gonna look at this, I mean, everybody says that the first time, but don't just brush it off and not look into the accounts or listen to people's stories, because some of these stories are weird, and that's where the qualitative data comes in, right? But there are certain ones that are just, there's too much evidence. You have to look at that evidence, and I think a lot of people aren't doing that. I think a lot of people want to stay conveniently in their own little bubble and use this conspiracy theory stick to hit people, which isn't cool. I don't think we should do that. As a society, I don't think we should do that. I think it's good to look through these things, and of course, you know, it's not like we're being annoying about this. We're just trying to call it out.
Right,
you know?
exactly. So I started seriously thinking about this. I mean, and we did a video on like CERN and quantum computers and whatnot, but one day I really started thinking about deja vu very seriously.
Yeah.
You know? And that moment is so weird. When I started thinking about deja vu, I just get this comment from Stevens asked us this exact question at the moment where I was thinking about this deja vu related to the Mandela Effect. And I really, really believe now that there is a direct correlation between deja vu and the Mandela Effect. What I think is kind of happening, and this is where it gets a little confusing, but I think from doing all the meditation that I do and everything, and kind of everything, and like what we understand, it's like we understand that multiple dimensions exist, and it's possible that we exist in these other dimensions. something is happening in these other realms where like a timeline is either collapsing or like getting destroyed or something. And I believe that what's happening is that with deja vu, it's kind of like the past, present, and the future kind of converge with our timeline. And what we're remembering may actually be remnants of memories from another timeline that's like collapsing, and then it comes over here to kind of save what's going on, or vice versa. Maybe even something happened on this timeline and it's like being brought over into another timeline. I mean, if you're looking at it from that perspective, it's like there's these positive changes that are really happening. It's like the cabal or Illuminati or whatever you want to say is supposed to take over by this point, right? That was their whole plan. After 2012, they're going to take over everything.
So there is something going on potentially, is what you're saying.
Yes.
And this is a theory, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that someone is definitely messing with our timeline. My theory is that these knuckleheads that got a hold of whatever it is are trying to change some serious stuff. They don't understand why they can't change history the way they want it to, but they're trying.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's we kind of go into that in our time travel video,
Right.
because I explain it. Because really, I think it's quite impossible to really truly change too much because everything's already done. And I think if anything does get changed, there's definitely a higher power looking over everything,
And
right? There's
that's
a balance
the
in
thing
the universe.
They're constantly missing,
Yes.
and they don't understand. And people that are the bad people only that are trying to take advantage of science, not the good people, don't actually believe that there are higher powers at work. You can't just say, "Oh, I have no evidence they don't exist," and just say blanket they don't exist. Like that's how science operates, right?
Right, exactly.
I don't believe something until I see it, and it's not a healthy way of.
Exactly.
How are you going to make improvements?
No matter what, something big is happening in our world and our universe. And
I think that's it.
Yeah, I
That
think so.
pretty much wraps up this episode.
you guys out there are probably like, whoa, what are these guys on? It looks like they're talking about like something on chronic.
No, we're not at all.
Actually.
We don't do the drugs. We stay off of them.
Meditate.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about these Mandela Effect examples. We're actually going to do another episode on Mandela Effect examples. It's going to get a little bit wild.
Well, yeah. That one will just be like more going through all different stuff. So
All kinds of stuff. So hang on to your seats. We'll be going there soon. And until next time,
we'll see you guys out.
on the edge.